is Thursday, and for today's lesson, there is no Google Classroom assignment. I'll tell you that right up front. Your only assignment today is watch the video, do some of the activities with me during the video, help me find the continents and the oceans, which we're going to learn and read about today. And all of these things that we're going to study right now are going to help us on the activity tomorrow, where we are going to be astronauts trying to find our way home back to a landing site on Earth.
Understanding the geography of the world. Where in the world is our community? Introduction. Picture yourself as an astronaut in a space shuttle. If you looked at the planet Earth from space, what do you think you would see? Maybe clouds, land, and water? What would you need to know to find your landing site on Earth? To answer these questions, you need to know some geography. Geography is the study of Earth, its land, its water, air, and people. In this lesson, you will learn about how Earth can be divided into different pieces. You will come across important geography vocabulary words such as hemispheres, continents, countries, and states. And these words describe pieces that make up Earth. They will also help you use maps to find any place on Earth, from space or from your classroom. And here are some geography-based vocabulary words that we'll need for this unit. Now, we're not going to learn them all right now, but a lot of these you already know. Some of them you might not. So what I would recommend that you do is take a look at each one of these words: border, geography, capital, government, city, ocean, continent, prime meridian, country, state, and equator. And what you should do, and I know that's a lot, but write down any word that you've never heard of before or you have no idea what it means. If there's a word that you might know or you have sort of an idea what it means, you can leave that. But just write down a few words that you have never heard before and you don't know what they mean. So I'm going to do that right now. Our community is on planet Earth. Remember that you are an astronaut in outer space, and from your space shuttle, you can see how big Earth looks outside your window. You will see clouds, water, and land, and you may also see mountains, deserts, and other things on Earth. These are all part of Earth's geography. How would you describe the shape of the Earth? Earth is not flat. Instead, you may notice that Earth is shaped like a ball. What else is shaped like a ball? Another word for an object shaped like a ball is a sphere. If you cut a sphere in half, you get two hemispheres. Hemisphere means half of a sphere, and that's a good vocabulary word, hemisphere. So half of a sphere. And Earth is broken up into several hemispheres. Imagine a line around the middle of the Earth, like a belt that goes around your waist. Many maps of Earth have a line like this called the equator. And the equator divides Earth into the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. You can also divide a sphere from top to bottom. Imagine a line that starts at the top of Earth at the North Pole and runs down one side of the Earth to the bottom at the South Pole. There is a special line like this on maps of Earth, and it passes through the city of Greenwich, England. We call this line the prime meridian. It divides Earth into a western and eastern hemisphere. So find the equator and the prime meridian on the maps. How many hemispheres do you see? So I'm going to point out the equator and the prime meridian, and you guys can help me with this too. So to divide the northern and the southern hemisphere, we use a line called the equator, which is right here, going across Earth horizontally or sideways. The top of the Earth is the northern hemisphere, and the bottom is the southern in this picture. And then here's the prime meridian, which we use to divide the Earth into the western and the eastern hemisphere. So this side, actually it has North America where we live, and South America. That's the western hemisphere. And then the eastern hemisphere is on the other side of the prime meridian. So let's take a second and stop here and why don't you guys help me figure out how to label all these hemispheres when we don't have the answer right in front of us? So let's first try to find the northern and southern hemispheres. And I put these markers here so you can see what part of the Earth we're talking about. So this one, we have the top part of the Earth that we're focusing on. And the equator is right there. So what do you think we should label this half of the Earth? Think about it in your head for a second. And I'm going to try to draw the answer here for you too. So I'm going to put a big N next to this picture because the top half of the Earth is the northern hemisphere. Let's go to this other picture here on the side. And we still have the equator running right in the middle of the Earth, and we see that it's kind of showing us the bottom half. So if the top half is the northern hemisphere, the bottom half would be, that's right, the southern hemisphere. And I'll put an S there. Then, let's change our color just to be interesting here. Now we have the prime meridian right here in this picture. And it looks like they're showing us the left side of the prime meridian, which go back in the video and check if you need to try to find out what this one is. And yeah, if you said Western Hemisphere, you would be right. Now there's only one picture left to label, and we only have one hemisphere that we haven't put down. And that is the Eastern Hemisphere, which is on the right side of the globe here. So Northern, Southern, Western, and Eastern. If you got all those right, nice job. If not, let's keep reading and we'll review this stuff over and over. Our community is on a continent. And some of you might remember we did talk a little bit about continents in class in the beginning of the year. From space, you can see that most of Earth is covered with water, and the largest bodies of water are called oceans. There are 5 oceans on Earth, and they are called the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Southern Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean. Look at the map and find the 5 oceans. So let's go over here and see if we can find all of them, because they're all labeled for us. So it looks like we have Pacific here. Oh, and look, Pacific is actually in 2 different places because remember the Earth is a sphere and we're looking at a map. So think about if you connected this map and turned it back into a sphere, on the back side of it would be the Pacific Ocean. Then the Atlantic Ocean is right here in between North America and Europe and South America and Africa. Then looks like we have the Arctic Ocean up here near the North Pole. The Indian Ocean, which is kind of tucked in between Asia, Africa, and Australia. And all the way down here is kind of hard to see, but that's the Southern Ocean, right near Antarctica. There are also 7 continents on Earth, and I just mentioned some of them. They are called Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, and South America. Asia is the largest continent, and Australia is the smallest. You can look at the map to find each of the 7 continents, and you can see that each continent is a different color on the map. Each continent also has its own shape. The continents are mostly surrounded by oceans, but many of them are connected to each other by land in certain places. On which continent do you live? And do you live near an ocean? So let's, and this is actually a picture of a continent here. Can you see what continent that looks like on the big map up here? And remember, it's a lot smaller on this map, so it might be hard to see. But right here, this is North America, and that's North America, and that's actually where we live. We live somewhere in here, sort of near the ocean, actually. Sort of near the Atlantic Ocean. So a nice way to remember what is near North America is another continent with the name America in it, and that's South America, which is in the southern hemisphere here. And then it looks like we have Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia. And it would be really cool if we could memorize the names of all of those and then remember where they are. So we could label them on a blank map. We could impress some people doing that. Speaking of which, here's a little opportunity for us to show our stuff. So I'm not sure if we have time to label all of the continents and oceans, but let's find a couple that we remember. So I'm going to draw an arrow from this one because this one's pretty important to us. If you don't learn anything else, learn this continent right here. And yeah, we just went over this one. This one is North America. So I'm going to write NA there because my writing's really sloppy when I try to do full words. Yeah, North America is there. And then do you remember what ocean is in between North America and Europe and South America and Africa? And yeah, that ocean is called the Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to write ATL there. And here's a little quiz, a bonus question for you. Let's try to find Australia on this map. Remember, Australia is the smallest of the continents. See if you can find it. I'll give you a hint. It's in the southern hemisphere, and it's also in the eastern hemisphere. So remember, the southern hemisphere is on the bottom part of this map here, and the eastern hemisphere is on the right side over here. So what is both below this line and right of this line? To do that, we have to look in this area right here. And yep, right there is Australia. And to abbreviate Australia, I'm going to write A, U, and S. So we're going to keep reviewing continents, oceans, and hemispheres. And these are going to be really important when we do our activity tomorrow, which we're going to pretend to be astronauts, and we're going to have to try to find our landing site on Earth using the hemispheres, the continents, and the oceans. And I'm going to try to memorize all of these things. It would be really cool if, like on a Zoom call, I could quiz you on the continents and the oceans, and you can repeat them back. So that's a challenge for some of you guys that are really motivated.
So that's it for today, folks. Again, bonus assignment for you overachievers out there, for anyone who can memorize all 4 oceans, all 7 continents, and all of the hemispheres. I got a special prize for you. Meet me on Zoom, prove that you can do it, and I got a prize for you. All right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow for our final activity of the week. We're going to continue geography and be astronauts and try to find our landing site on Earth. So until then, have an awesome day, and I will see you tomorrow.